Hey YouTube, welcome back to EagleX and today we're doing another video focusing on the Gundam card game. Now a lot of you guys have been asking in the comments for footage and I was ready to bring it to you. I just wanted to make sure it had my own little flair and pizzazz on it. So on this video we are doing double starter deck battles. That's right, two starter decks put together to make sure the ratios are evened out, and this video is going to actually have ST03 Zeon's Rush versus ST01 Heroic Beginnings with more optimized starter deck lists. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Like the video if you do, subscribe if you want to see more Gundam card game content, and give me your feedback in the comments. Also, last little note, make sure to stay tuned to the very end because I got messages for you guys as well. All right, let's hop into it. All right, so we're starting off, and you know the deal. ST03 is generally going to be a bit more of an aggressive deck versus ST01 that's going to be kind of more tempo mid-range with a lot of good interactions. So I chose to keep my hand immediately. I really felt like it was strong on the curve, and it's got a close combat in it, so I can get rid of some early game threats like Zawart if it comes down, because that card is actually pretty detrimental to pushing through damage, and it can also just turn sideways and just eat certain bodies. It looks like he immediately decided to mulligan, and I understand that because against a deck that can be as aggressive early game as ST03, you really do need to make sure that your hand is set up to stop that aggression. You need to make sure that you have your cards like potentially an Amuro and a RX-78 to start just eating cards off the field while not taking damage. You need to make sure you have your gun tanks to maybe turn some of these 1-1 sideways and then you know, swing on them with something else. So you really just need to make sure that your hand does not get steamrolled out of the game that early. So I did win the die roll, and I opted to go second mainly because of the curve that you can hit with the Gundams and whatnot, and then we're able to go. Alright, so he passes to me with just one resource, and there's nothing to really play on there. I go out to one resource and the EX resource, but I also pass. My curve isn't one drop heavy, but I also feel like it's just actually just solid in general. So on his 2 resource turn, he actually ends up playing the Zawart. As you guys should know by now, it's just a very solid blocker with the power to clap almost anything swinging early game, so you gotta be really careful while swinging into it. I'm gonna actually go into my turn and respond with the Char Zaku 2. Nice little threat that can be linked later for some massive damage, and when it gets destroyed it helps you float and just find other cards. So overall, just a very good card. Passing back to him, he's gonna just draw in and go on his 3 resource turn, kind of thinking for a little bit. You have to be very, very, very careful. This game does have a kind of momentum slide to where if you are not the aggressive deck, you have to very meticulously play into your following turns to make sure that you can stabilize. So he keeps all 3 of his resources open, which does signal that he has some commands that he's probably going to deploy a little later, and I have to be just conscious of that. Like, I have to actually just know that's about to happen. So we're gonna hit him with close combat, dealing 2 damage to the Zawart to clear out its HP, and then we're gonna punch in to his EX base. Now there is a little bit of time before he decides that, yeah, that's fine, it's just gonna go. He's gonna just let that attack be eaten, and then I'm gonna use my last resource to just play a Zaku 1 and pass. Now passing with 3 up is very interesting, but it does happen. He's now gonna deploy a white base. And I think right here is the time where you make a 3/3 token. I think you do make a 3/3 token, but he elected to actually play out something, if I recall, which I don't quite agree with, but you know, we're all here. This is the beginning of the game. People are indeed learning. So he's gonna play out the gym, and after playing out the gym, it's just, I think the 3/3 token just would have pushed more weight here, but we'll see how it plays out. So passing back to me, going up to my 4 resource turn plus the EX resource, I am able to cook pretty heavily here. So we're actually going to just pair, well, actually link Char with Char Zaku 2, allowing this to be a 5/3 attacker when it actually goes in. So I'm going to try to one-shot white base, but I'm actually going to get met with a unforeseen incident to actually bring me back down to 2, which is really, really, really detrimental because this turn was supposed to be a clearing of the white base and then dealing of a damage. Instead, this is turned into a full stop where I know that I can't really go any further. So now I'm going to end up playing the Goof, and then Goof is going to spawn in a Zaku 2 token 1/1. This is going to actually force him to have to put some work in on that token, or else it's just going to be one more attack going into his face once I break that base next turn. So passing turn over to him, he's now got to figure out how to work this board because I went from 2 bodies to 4 bodies, and this is actually kind of problematic. A singular mishandled turn here is going to end up with him having a lot of his life just missing. So yeah, this is gonna be, like I said, a really crunchy turn. You have to think about what you're doing well. As you guys play this game, you guys should find out that aggro is strong. It's not the end all be all though. He's gonna play Gundam mobile armor form for 3, and then he's actually going to play Armor Array and link it. That link is going to allow him to draw a card as well as rest something on my field with Amro's effect. Trying to decide what to rest. I mean, you have things that you can chump easily. Now, I personally, if it was the LR, I would have put down Goof, but because he doesn't have the repair 2, I think it makes a perfect sense to actually put the Zaku down 1. You just want to make sure that you can get some stuff off of my board while not losing your board in response, because then I have to answer your board. So he's actually just going to swing here, get 1 damage on his jam, and then decide whether he wants to push in with his mobile armor. Now, this is going to be, like I said, a precarious turn because you definitely want to get some of the heat off the board. He wants to make sure that I cannot just immediately destroy his base. So he's going to check 1 more time just to make sure of what this card does. And seeing that it searches, but it's not like it's playing anything, he's probably just going to get the guy that can one-shot a base off his board immediately. Swinging in with the Gundam mobile armor form. And then passing that to me. I'm gonna pass, I'm gonna defer, and then he's gonna play another unforeseen incident, taking me down even further. So bringing me down to, once again, a 2 on the AP side and letting his Gundam mobile armor form survive. So as you can see, unforeseen incident really does change the tide of battle. Twice now, he's saved his base as well as saving his Gundam MA form. So I really need to start pushing back in the offensive, and he's tapped out, which means I know that next turn I have some free reign. So I'm actually just going to get the Angelo's Garazulu to my hand for the support too. And then he's going to pass the turn back over to me afterwards. A little discrepancy about how this works. We were just looking at the numbers and whatnot. We both use dice in different ways. So now that it's on my turn, I'm gonna just untap everything, get my draw, add my resource, and then it's time to launch the fierce counterattack. Like I said, tapped out is an excellent place to be here, and we really got to make sure this counts. So it's time for a huge turn. We're going to tap 5 and play out the Sinanju. After playing out the Sinanju, we're going to use our EX resource in order to play out full frontal, make that a link, and that's going to play out Angelo's Garazulu. Now that we have all of that on the board, our board is pretty much replenished, and now we can make solid plays. So he's starting to get to the point where he can actually play out cards, and I have to make a choice. I can either go for his board or I can go for his face. And we have a little bit of a ways to split push here, but we do want to overall make sure that we can start pushing his damage down, because as the game goes on, he's going to probably get a little stronger than me, and I'm going to get a little weaker. I'm going to start running out of gas, so we need to maintain the tempo. So I'm going to actively use Angelo's Garazulu to support 2 on the Zaku, making it a 3-1, and then we're going to swing that 3 into the base while he's tapped out to make sure it's gone. Afterwards, I am now going to attack in with Sinanju into his shields. But this there is a little bit of weird counterplay, because I could have actually swung into his shield area and popped, and since the shield is in the shield area, it fulfills Sinanju's effect. So I could have swung into his shield area, popped his base, and then gone in to get in on one of his bodies. That is something I could have done. In fact, I'm gonna call myself out here. This was poor sequencing, because I probably should have attacked with the Goof in order to make sure that he didn't drop a base after this. But now I'm just gonna trade over here and get rid of the Gundam MMA form and pass. So that turn was a little mismanaged by me, and I will admit that. I think we could have literally just gotten rid of the shield, but there's a couple ways about it, because if I swing in there, I think I could have just swung like I did and then attacked with the goof into the shield, and then if he popped out of base, I could then swing in with the Sinanju and do some popping. But yeah, it is what it is. Amuro is gonna boost up his life a little bit, his HP, so I did have to make sure I could beat Amuro, because I think because Amuro swung on a 1. Actually, no, Amuro swung on, and he took 2 damage, but I still think that keeps him at like 3 life. So yeah, there was a little bit of weirdness that had to go into it. But yeah, over on his turn now, he's gonna play out another white base, going down to 3 life this time. It's starting to get risky because on my board right now, I have the ability to just clear out bodies like that. So now he's got to figure out what he's got to do. I've got high maneuver on deck, I've got a supporter on deck, and I've got the 1/1 Zaku token that at this very moment he would need to trade his GM to get rid of. Anything else doesn't go, and he loses his GM unless he pairs onto it. So he's got some decisions to make here. 4 resources up, it seems as if he's got a lot to work with. But in the starter decks for this, there isn't a lot of removal. There's a lot of good trades. So he's going to play Gundam Aerial, bid on form, and then play Demi Trainer, just to get some blockers up. And then he's gonna GM into my token for a trade, just to make sure I don't have the extra body. Talking over his plays a little bit. He's just thinking about it. He's talking over about how like the play I did last turn by supporting the Zaku made it a lot more dangerous. He didn't realize that that could go that hard for that, but it makes sense, it makes sense. So we got rid of it, so I can't support anymore. Because next turn, if I have another support too, I can just play it and make the Zaku a 3 cost, so, or a 3 AP. So he was just trying to make sure I couldn't just have like essentially a pseudo 3 haster. So here, I'm now gonna lead off with the Sinanju. Sinanju with full frontal linked into it. Just thinking about real quick whether I want to lead out with it, because like I said, you can have some pretty interesting interactions. He's already used 2 unforeseen incidents, and in this game you don't draw too much currently as of yet, especially without overflowing affection as well as show of resolve in the format. So I did just end up leading off with it too. Seems like a fair amount to see that early in the game, but getting into his shields here, I should be able to actually just pop his Demi Trainer right off the rip. So we get over his base, and then we're gonna ping the Demi Trainer for 2 with the Sinanju's effect, since I destroyed a card in the shield area with battle. Then we're gonna swing Angelo's Gira Zulu into shields again, getting rid of another gem. Playing 2, we're actually going to play just the Gira Zulu, but then we're gonna actually use Indignation, who doubles as a pilot for Angelo, and we're gonna link it because he is Neo Zeon. This is gonna allow the Gira Zulu to attack this turn, and we're gonna push in for even more damage. Getting rid of an LR Gundam. These are some heavy hits. We still have 3 resources left to spin too, and this just kind of shows off some of the power of this deck. When you get rolling, you just really have to have specific cards in order to stop this. The unforeseen incidents were good, but without Amuros and LR Gundams to start eating my field without taking damage, it really does kind of get rough. So at this point, I believe he just ends up scooping right here, simply because there was not really a way to kind of overcome that advantage. So we talk about it for a little bit, we show our lives. I had a stacked life that I was gonna lose. Unless I played a base, I was gonna lose a lot of good power. But I got a base second to last, so that's pretty cool too, I guess. Alright guys, let's move on to game 2. Alright, so now we are going into game 2. I'm going first this time since he chose to get the EX resources. I was about to play something and then I realized levels are a thing, so I have to wait. That is kind of like something you have to get used to in the game. Just because you have the resource doesn't mean you have the play. So he's actually going to get 1 resource and immediately play out a gem, which is fine. My turn, I get the goated Zeon opening of double Zaku 2. And this is one of those games where automatically you know the pressure's on. It's just a very disgusting opening because you're about to break the EX base and beyond, and there's very few things that can actually handle it. One of those things is Gun Tank though, and Gun Tank is indeed a buster of this sort of opening. So playing out Gun Tank in order to rest one of my Zaku 2s and immediately moving the GM into it, and then just only taking 1 damage. Excellent play, and this is actually why this deck is so strong at like kind of the mid-range tempo game. So now, we're actually going to go to 3 resources and then just really kind of start our punch back. We got to get rid of this EX base as soon as possible so we can start punching at life. Or at shields. I apologize. It's going to take a little bit to translate. Thinking about my plays, we are going to swing in with the Zaku 2. Its ability is going to make it AP 3, breaking the EX shield, or EX base. And then our next follow-up play can go a couple ways, because I believe we can actually just play out a couple bodies and then just like pass. But I am going to opt to play a Zaku 1 and then keep 2 open, very much so signaling to my opponent that there is a close combat hiding in the rafters in order to come down and smoke something off the board. Knowing that he's going to lose one of his bodies, he does have to figure out how to best go about it. So he's going to swing in there with the Gun Tank, and I actually will hit him with the close combat in order to deal him 2 damage and then deal him the 1 damage through battle to get rid of the Gun Tank. Because we can get rid of the GM with a couple of cards, we can only use a few cards to get rid of that 3 body. So yeah, we're gonna make sure we turn that into a trade instead of a just straight up loss. And then he's gonna play out white base, taking a shield, and then setting himself up. Now, this is once again a time where maybe you could see you using the EX resource to put out a token, but at the same time, he's only going to get the 2/2, and he loses EX resource. So it's kind of a really crunchy situation. He wants to protect his life, but he can't really make the best out of white base in this situation. So thinking about what he wants to do, he's now going to swing into the EX base to put some damage on it. Then he's going to play out Demi Trainer in order to hopefully not get ran over like last game. So going up to 3 resources, sorry, going up to 4 resources now, we are going to actually get in the swing. He's going to let it go. Why? Because that guy was not long for this world and we're probably going to get ran out regardless. But unfortunately for him, I not only have the Char Zaku 2, but I have the Char Asnable to link and then punch in to the base. And this will result in his base getting 1-tapped because you're at 3-2, you go up 1-1 with Char, and then when he attacks, if he's gonna go plus another one, making him a 5 AP swing, and then the Char says if he's linked, he's actually going to make it high maneuver, meaning the Demi Trainer cannot touch it. So now it's back on him. This is a huge momentum swing, but he's actively going to play out Gundam Aerial Permit Score 6, and then link with Suletta Mercury, making this a massive swing. This is now a 5-6 body swinging, and then when you pair it, you're gonna be able to -3 on something. So he actually only had to take 1 damage, and that's a huge momentum swing for me. Now I do get to get the Zaku 2 into my hand after doing the search, and now he's going to actually, yeah, this is gonna get in my hand. We're just playing a little too fast. He's gonna swing with his Demi Trainer in order to get rid of my EX base, because he does need to get the momentum on his side. Now, like I said, being able to get rid of my Char Zaku 2 while it was linked and only take 1 damage is a crazy push of momentum. And now it's on me to actually try to swing this back in my favor, because with just that turn, he's really flipped the script. So we're gonna play 2 to play out a Falmo, taking a shield to my hand, and then spawning a 3/1 Char Zaku's 2 token, which I accidentally played out the wrong token and I had to actually switch it up. I had them in order and messed up a little bit. But yeah, so we ended up playing out that token. That's going to have to give him something to attack into with the Demi Trainer. We're then going to actually play out the Goof and play out another token. We're just going to try to go wide and hope that at least one of my bodies survives next turn. Now, the Char Zaku 2 token is an easy out. That's likely just going to get ran over with the Demi. It's great to trade a 1/1 into a 3/1. That's just automatically good. Playing out another white base to make sure that he still does not take damage. At this point, as an aggro player, I am sweating, because at this point, what, that's two bases, I think, and it's making it very hard for me to get at his life. Now, he is taking his own shield down, but at the same time, it is making this weird little bit of cushion for him. So he ends up swinging into my base, one-shotting it while he can, and then he ends up playing out Gundam in A form, mobile armor form, and then linking it with Armor Array to rest my goof. He has got momentum on his side. This is actually going to be very, very uphill for me as an aggro player. Getting the draw and the rest. He's now going to attack the goof, taking 2 damage out of his 4 life. So he's half down, and that removes my biggest body off the board, really, at least with HP. Now he's gonna pass, leaving the Demi Trainer up. He is not willing to get rid of the Demi Trainer to get rid of my 3-1 token. I kind of respect that, but I also feel like he's trying to race me now. And I feel like I might be the better deck at racing. Not to mention, some of my best cards can come in with high maneuver, but I do have to admit that in the starter deck, there are really only going to be 2 cards with high maneuver, and that's the Zaku 2 LR, as well as the Sinanju when it's paired. So that is going to have to be something that that has to be like addressed. Like he's kind of hedging his bets. So now I'm going to attack in, and he's going to trade the Demi Trainer. Thought that was going to happen. That's cool. Now that Demi Trainer's out of the way, we can try to work. We do have to kind of race him. He's building up bodies that are a little too big for me to handle. I do have a close combat in hand, so the Gundam mobile armor form is not terribly long for this world. We're going to end up playing out Zaku 2, and then we're going to end up playing the Gira Zulu, and we're going to hopefully set up for next turn. We are going to pass again. And once again, unfortunately, with the limited card pool in the starter set, you pretty much know what happens when somebody leaves 2 up. Unless they have no cards in hand, you're likely catching the close combat, and now he knows he needs to work around this. The Gundam Aerial with Suletta linked to it is going to be out of reach by far, but the Gundam mobile armor form with Amuro under it is not going to be out of reach. So the moment he tries to swing into my shields, it's just time to get rid of one of his bodies, which he expected. You saw his little hand gesture. He expected that to happen. So we get rid of the Gundam RX-78 mobile armor form, and now we have to see what he's going to do with the rest of the turn. Oh, playing the LR Gundam 78, Gundam RX-78 mobile armor form. He's actually going to attack into my shields, and I'm going to get a full frontal off of the burst, which is just pretty good. Now he's actually sitting here thinking about what he does next. It's actually pretty crazy this turn. Like he's building a board, quite a board. Talking through a few of his plays real quick. I can see there's a Demi Trainer in his hand. There's another Gundam MA form. Looks like there might be 2 Gundam MA forms. So now he's gonna just activate this. He is thinking to himself that he could have sequenced this better and gotten a 2/2 token for it. I think that's what he's talking about right now. Like, you should have actually just gotten a 2/2 token when Aerial was the only thing on the board. Then he's gonna play another Demi Trainer, and he's going to pass. Not having the Amuro that turn was really rough, because he could have just straight up eaten cards off my board and not allowed me to go forward. But that's just sometimes the problem, especially with the limited card pool. You really do have to have those turns where, oh, this turn would have cracked so hard had I just had the pilot necessary. So my hand is looking kind of weird. It looks like I have a Zaku 2, 2 full frontals, and a Gira Zulu. Not the best to work with, but we are going to try to push hard. He's got 3 cards in hand, so I'm starting to see that we're both starting to run low on gas. His board is just by far the superior board. And he's got a base, and he's got 4 shields, so this is going to be rough. We're going to attack with Gira Zulu, and he's got to decide what to do. Gira Zulu has the 3 damage on it, or sorry, 3 AP. So this will be putting 3 damage onto the base if it connects. It's also very interesting that this amount of time is being considered for this, because that might kind of like show that he has the unforeseen incident in his hand. Now I'm gonna end up attacking with Char's Zaku 2, and he's gonna block with Demi Trainer, giving me 1 damage. And this is particularly a sticky moment. So now we're gonna play out another Gira Zulu. and we're gonna actually link full frontal to it. Now, because of that, we get to cheat into play a body, which is just gonna be a 1 cost because we don't have anything better to cheat, and that sucks. But now that this is happening, we're gonna actually just eradicate that base. And then we're gonna punch 1 more damage just to get through. At this point, we are racing, and we are at a point that he needs to address my board, because if he doesn't address my board, we are going to have issues in about a turn or 2. This is technically lethal on board if he does not address it. So now he's gonna have to start turning his cards into my cards. We still have 4 shields, so he has to hit me a total of 5 times, and he only has 3 attacks on board, and he cannot ignore my board because I have, like I said, more than lethal. And this is kind of what aggro can do. But another base comes down, and we are sitting here. This is exactly like, well, my board isn't exactly where it wants to be, but the amount of bases he's able to put down is great. And he's got a linked unit on board to make sure that he can actually get that attack boost. So I'm sitting in a precarious position, not really expecting much of my board to survive. With 6 resources up, he is kind of wondering where he goes from here, which is fine. Sorry, yeah, 6 resources up. It looks like he's got 2 Gundam MA forms. It's kind of hard to see the rest of his hand. 1 gun tank. Now, this is probably the most crucial turn in the game, so he is just trying to see where he goes from here. I apologize for the camera shaking. I think the table might have been getting bumped. But like I said at the beginning of the video, let me know what your thoughts are about my editing for the card games, and anything you think I could do better, anything that needs to be toned back. I just want to make some of the best gameplay videos you guys can watch. So yeah, this is a big think moment. I think he knows very well that if he does not end me this turn, it's over next turn. So he ends up getting through the last HP, and I'm going to be able to search my top 3. And since I have a full frontal in hand, we're just gonna find Sinanju immediately. That's not what you want to see, especially seeing that your opponent bursted a full frontal to hand. So he was just checking it right there because he was like, oh, Neo Zeon, and yes, this card does search Neo Zeon and Zeon cards, top 3 of the deck. Sinanju was an excellent pickup, and it definitely isn't what you want to see on his end, because now he knows that I 100% have a rush, or I have something that's going to be able to attack the turn it comes down. Or potentially, I think. I think he's the only full frontal he's seen is the full frontal I've used so far. So now he's going to use Gundam Aerial, and he's going to trade with the Girazulu. He does not want me one-shotting his base. And I appreciate the way he's going into this, because I've already used 1 full frontal and he's seen me gain a full frontal, so he doesn't know that I have an access to another one, or I might not even have it at this point. But like, he is basically just trying to ensure that that base survives multiple attacks to give him a little bit more room to breathe. He's also gone back up to 7 full resources because of Suletta's ability, and now he's going to use Gun Tank to put that down. He's going to swing into the Zaku. I understand not wanting to take 1 additional HP, but if his move isn't gonna get rid of this Girazulu, I think the move was to use Girazulu. So he's actually, he's actually going to play another aerial, and then he's gonna pass with that. And once again, Suletta would have been devastating there because he could have gotten rid of my Girazulu and not taken any damage. So I'm going to draw this turn, get another resource, and we are going to immediately come out with this Sinanju into full frontal. We don't even play out anything because we don't have it. So we're going to actually attack into the base, and we're going to immediately ping Gundam. Then we're going to go into life right here, giving him an Amuro, very, very powerful. And at this point, that's actually very, very scary. I think I need to set it up to where he's at one shot. So our options are to destroy the Gundam or destroy the last life, and we destroy the last life, giving him Gundam. This is fine because if he played a base and then got that Gundam and had armor array, I think that's literally the end of me right there. I think early in that turn there was a thought of me attacking into the Gundam, but it's gonna be rough now. I need to put him on the end of his game, simply because, yeah, like he's getting to the point where his board is gonna be a little too hard for me to deal with. So now he's going in, he's pairing Amuro to the Gundam MA form, he's drawing a card, there's nothing to rest on my board. He's got 4 attacks, and I think maybe he was trying to see if he can get into another Amuro to play that, because then he would have actually run through my health. But if he can't destroy me this turn, he needs to figure out how to get over my board. Now, he's going to end up attacking into the Sinanju for a full trade, because he is currently sitting on 6 AP. So there goes my Sinanju. And now he's thinking. It's gonna all be about clearing the board. So now, playing thoroughly damaged is gonna get rid of my Zaku token. Big sad, big sad. And he's thinking about this really hard, because if I get a Link next turn, he's actually just Gonzo. So he's gonna swing here to get rid of my Girazulu. He wants to make sure that I cannot get any attacks in. Playing out another Gundam MA form and passing. I'm going to draw, and unfortunately, it is the exact card I needed. My last 2 cards in hand are a Link and the full frontal, and that's going to actually end that game, pushing through the final damage that I needed to end it. And yeah, that was the first match on this channel of the Gundam card game, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let's wrap up that video, and yeah, great game, great game. Alrighty then. First and foremost, what did you guys think about the gameplay footage? I want all of your feedback. I want your feedback on the sound effects. I want your feedback on the cut-ins and the graphics. I want your feedback for the entire experience, because by the end of, you know, the next week, the week after that maybe, I want the best gameplay footage you guys will have. Even small things on stuff like whether or not a card should show up 1 time per game the first time it's played, which is what I'm doing, or whether it should show up on screen every single time it's played, so that no matter what part of the video you're in, you can get that. Whether there should be sound effects for attacks as well as just cards being deployed. I was thinking about that, but I wasn't quite sure if it would be kind of a sensory overload. So let me know what you guys think of this, and let me know what I could change to make it even better, or if you like it just as is. Now, past that, I do want to let you know that while I can't promise product, I can promise you 2 places to go and find it if they have extras, and that's going to be my sponsors, Hyper Beam Cards based out of Tijuana, as well as Mystic TCG based out of Missouri. They both are excellent stores owned by excellent owners, and they're gonna put you on. As long as they have the product after they, you know, serve up things to their locals, they're gonna be able to have stuff ordered from their site. So go in the description, check that out. Last but not least, I want to give a shout out to EagleX. Eagle's Nest is actually a weekly Gundam locals. They've been giving out EX resources, they've been giving out resources for their first place prizing, but soon they're gonna actually start being able to give out packs for their online locals, as well as the upcoming beta box alt art tournaments. All of those links will be in the description to go check that out. You're gonna probably see some graphics on page for that as well. And yeah, I really just hope you guys are enjoying this game as much as I am, as much as my friends are. It's been a blast making this content so far, and just seeing the general numbers and the comments, everybody is enjoying the release of the Gundam card game so far. So with that out of the way, thank you guys for watching. Like the video if you like the video. If you love it, maybe even think about subscribing, and I will see you in the next one. Later.